The way that you launch a product or service in your business is going to set the tone for how well it sells. But you don't necessarily need a huge marketing budget, especially if your business is just starting out or you're just not there yet. There are 3 super simple things that you can do to make your launches more successful that cost you absolutely nothing. Today, I'm going to give you 3 of my best secrets, the exact formula we've used to launch our sold out events, to launch product collaborations, and yes, even this podcast. Welcome back to the show. I can hardly believe that Powerhouse Women is just a few weeks away. We are T-minus less than a month, ladies. This is getting real. And if you don't already have your tickets, there are still a few left, and there's still time for you to grab yours and join us for what I like to call the best girls' day of the year. Yes, I'm biased. Deal with it. But I really am saying this not for myself, but for you. Because every year we hear it, I'll get messages about the FOMO that people experience when they see the Instagram stories and the photos. It really is as special as it looks. It's not just beautiful. There's this sense of heart and collaboration that you cannot even put into words. You just have to experience it for yourself. And if you love the kind of topics that we've been covering on the podcast, that is exactly what we do at the event. So we bring in some of the best and brightest to give you, literally open their brains and give you their best secrets to success, because we believe that when women collaborate, when we share resources and genuinely cheer each other on to win, that we're all going to go further faster. So you can join us by grabbing your ticket. It's on our website, linked in the show notes, just www.powerhousewomen.co/event. So you can find tickets there to the event. And then also, you've heard me mention the pajamas and Prosecco kickoff party, which is going to be so much fun. So today I am going to keep this one pretty short, but it actually kind of makes me laugh a little bit. This is one of those things, I think in life, we never tend to take ourselves that seriously, at least a lot of the women that I speak to. And I've never considered myself a marketing guru or genius when it comes to any of this. But in the last couple of months, I've had a few people ask us, and even people who are really, really good at marketing say, okay, what are you doing? How are you launching this podcast? How did you get it onto New and Noteworthy? How do you sell out your events? You know, these 1,000-person events that have celebrities speaking aren't filling. How are you doing it? And it had me actually step back and be like, okay, maybe I should think about what we're doing so that I can offer this as help. I think there's probably many people who are more equipped to teach you about marketing and sales and launching something. But what I thought I could just fill in the gaps is to share with you 3 things that I think we do so naturally. It doesn't even occur to me that it's anything special, but 3 things that cost you $0, which tends to fit in most people's budget, and can help to make a launch that's already great even better, or can even just help get you started. Maybe you're going to launch your very, very first thing, a book, a podcast, a product or service, and you aren't sure where to start. This is kind of like what I would give you as the game plan to think about where to start. And something else to think about is if you're not at a point where you're launching something new in the foreseeable future, one of my favorite things to do is to use this same formula throughout the year to relaunch things that already exist. So I feel like that's kind of for another conversation. Actually, we went a lot deeper into this. This podcast episode isn't primarily to talk about the Girl Gang membership, but one of the places that we go a lot deeper and more tangible, hands-on into a lot of these topics is our membership community, which is called the Girl Gang. You know how much we love a good girl gang around here. And that's info for that is all on our website too. I will link it below. But if you want to do more of a deep dive on this and even hear exactly what I do on Instagram stories, Facebook, like my whole plan, I did like an hour-long training for the Girl Gang members in July, and you can check that out. So I'll link that so you can find it easily, and you can always just reach out to me too if you have more questions. Okay, so here it is. I'm just going to give you the 3 things that I do that I didn't think were that special, but apparently other people do. So the first one is to create excitement and a story for people to buy into. So it's interesting. This didn't occur to me as like a tactic, using air quotes here, until I was at a presentation at this business mastermind that I am a member of. And this guy who apparently I should know his name because he's really great at marketing. I had never heard of him. Came and spoke to our group, and he was talking about creating hype. Now, he was kind of like a cynical personality and was like, I don't know why hype works so well, but it does. And in that moment, it was like a light bulb went off because I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what we do. But I see it as a strength, where he was saying it as like a cynical, like, why does this work? Hype in a bad way kind of reference. But I think it's because hype, when you think about like what image that word draws up, tends to feel a little bit fake. Hype tends to give us the image of, or at least me, tends to make me think about, overselling something, creating a buzz that you don't really plan to follow through on delivering, and that is not at all what I mean. What I mean by creating hype is creating excitement, creating a buzz, create something for people to get excited about. And this was where like the real mic drop moment for me during this guy's presentation was. And again, you're going to hear, he just was like so cynical. I just wanted to give him a hug. I don't think he would have accepted that hug. But he said, because people are bored and they're like just looking for the next dopamine hit in their lives. I was like, okay, Mr. Debbie Downer, that's like one way to look at it. But what if we flip that on the other side? Yeah, people are looking for something to get excited about. Even if you love, your job, you love the people in your life, you live this way that you feel joyful all throughout the day. If you're anything like me, I just get jazzed about the simplest things that bring joy. Or what is that, Marie Kondo, that Netflix documentary, Sparks Joy? So think of it like that. You have the capability in something that you're launching to spark joy in another person's life. And if it sparks joy, they're going to be more likely to pay attention to it, to want to share it with their audience, and ultimately to press purchase, because they feel that sense of just excitement, love, joy, whatever you want to fill in the blank with when they interact with your brand. So this is something, like I was saying, I didn't realize was a thing that we did or did well until I heard this guy's presentation, and then in another conversation later on with a friend, where genuinely, and here's the key word, is it has to be genuine. I just get really excited about the most random things in life. If you know me personally, you've probably heard me go on and on about my hip hop dance classes, or, oh my goodness, it could be the simplest, smallest thing. I will talk at length about a great meme that I saw, and then tell everyone that I see throughout the rest of the day about the meme, just because I think it'll bring joy to their life. So I genuinely love to just find ways to bring excitement into my day. That's kind of just how I'm wired. I also love to create curiosity. So I'm someone who loves surprises. I love surprising people. And so that just naturally became how I set up the opportunity to talk about products and services that we're launching. So a couple of different ways you can create excitement, create hype, and I'm literally just giving you all my secrets right now. You're going to see this so clearly in everything that how we communicate within Powerhouse Women. Things as simple as doing a teaser campaign, giving like a behind the scenes of, hey, something big is coming. I'm working on something for all of you, showing you a little behind the scenes on my Instagram story, something like a countdown. Hey, Friday, we're going to be announcing something big, 5 days away, 4 days away. Depending on the size of the announcement, that'll determine the size of like the countdown that we'll do or the amount of excitement we build. If it's just a tiny little announcement, I won't build a ton of excitement, because then it can feel a little bit like, oh, well, that's it. But I genuinely get so excited about these announcements myself that it ends up turning into this building of excitement, this opening of a storyline that then people are like, well, shoot, even if I don't really care what Lindsey is selling, I'm just curious, I'm being nosy, I at least want to know, like, what is this thing she's announcing? So again, I think that has to come from a genuine place in order for it to be effective. So if that's not your personality, no worries. You do not have to do that. You can find other ways to build up to a launch that fits your personality. All of this is only going to work if it's seriously genuine for you, but creating a storyline that has people start to pay attention to your brand and want to come back and check your Instagram feed, creating something that gives people a reason to engage with you is one of the best ways to get more eyeballs on your brand prior to a big announcement or a launch that you're making. Okay, the second thing is to create some urgency. And this is something I really learned just from, studying sales and marketing. You have to give people a reason to take action. That is why you'll often see if someone's launching an online course, there's like a specific date you have to register by. Or if you notice, like with our event, we offer tickets at an early bird price and those prices expire at a certain date. So we want to drive people to take action. And I always encourage people, think about the things that drive you to action when making a purchasing decision. Do you want to get something at the best price? Do you want to get access to special bonuses? Do you want to get like that VIP feel by being one of the first to take action and purchase something? If you think about even like the big brands, big brands use this and make us feel like, okay, well, everyone else is doing it. I guess maybe this is something I need to know about too. So there's a lot of different ways to create urgency, but I'm just going to give you one of my favorite, especially if you're doing, let's say, a time-sensitive special launch and you are kind of debating between, do I give a special price or maybe I don't want to offer a discount, so how do I do that? I'm a huge fan of rather than offering a discount and devaluing the thing that you're selling, instead offering a special bonus for a limited time. So it's like if you purchase this thing in the next 10 days, you're going to get, maybe these free downloadables, or you're going to get a one-on-one, a special call with me. If you're a service-based business, maybe it's, if you purchase this package of 5 sessions, for facial, maybe you get like this, eye cream with it. Or I'm like such a sucker for, if you're going to throw in a bonus, it could be like a pool noodle. I don't care what it is. I am going to want that thing. So I find that offering a bonus versus a discount, again, every business is different, so do what's right for you, adds more value versus subconsciously decreasing the value of your product or service in a consumer's mind. Think about it, like the things that go on sale are typically things that we're always going to look for a good value on. Urgency, I think, is best created when something is for a limited time or there's limited quantity. But hold the value, because what you're creating is valuable and you want to be able to build upon that value and over-deliver versus feel as though you have to discount yourself in order for people to feel and perceive that they got a lot of value. So just another example, when we were launching the podcast, one of the things we did was we said, hey, leave a review for the podcast, because that was a measurable statistic that we were going for. It wasn't something we were selling, but it helps us to build the credibility of the podcast to have a lot of reviews. So we said, leave a podcast by X certain date and we're going to draw for a prize. So you can do this in so many creative ways, but again, I find that the best way to create urgency is to limit the amount of time, or I forgot how I said that initially, but whatever I said first, that's the best way to create urgency. So limited time or limited quantity, that was it. Okay, sometimes in the middle of these podcasts, I totally lose my train of thought. So this is real life here. Okay, the third thing that we do that costs you nothing And I think this is literally the key to every success we've had. And I can't even explain it. Again, something I think that just came naturally. So if this doesn't come naturally to you, don't beat yourself up, but it's something you can consciously build that is literally going to make all the difference. And that is, are you listening? Okay, I want you to lean in. Engage the power of your community. This is why we talk about why it is so critical to surround yourself with a girl gang or a guy gang if you gentlemen are listening to this. Surround yourself with people who are enrolled in the vision of what you're doing. Beyond just what you sell and how awesome it is, enroll people in the vision of why. Why are you starting this event? Why are you launching this product? Why are you so passionate about the business that you have and the need that you fill? Enroll people in your why, and they will absolutely be more likely to want to jump in and be a part of this launch and this almost like word of mouth advertising campaign. Now, one of the things that we have done really well is we ask for the exact kind of support that we want. I think this is oftentimes where we can tend to get disappointed in people, like, well, they're not supporting me. Well, have you been clear with people about how you want to be supported, and have you made it easy for them to do so? So a couple of examples of this. I like how I still use the word we when, especially back in the beginning, it was still just me. So when I launched the book, Powerhouse Woman, I knew that I didn't have a big audience. I had like a few handfuls of social media followers. I had really built a strong network face-to-face, networking events, you name it, meetups, social gatherings. I really had invested the last few years of my life into building friendships face-to-face. And some of them, of course, translated online, but I wasn't relying on just this massive audience that I could share the book to and everyone would go buy it. So I almost knew I needed more of like a grassroots guerrilla marketing approach to this. And what I decided to do was I wanted to create like this intimate experience where people felt like they were getting insider access behind the scenes to what I was doing. Because the book for me, if you listen to episode 1, the book was really my pivot. That was me saying, okay, you knew me as this person who was a health and wellness entrepreneur. I'm still that. And I have this passion for seeing other women step into their big ideas, and I want to help you do that. So it was almost like this pivot of creating a new conversation for people, and I wanted to do that in an intimate group first, not only to get some feedback. It was a really great way to get feedback. Truthfully, I was also scared. I was scared of what people would think if I just put this out to the masses. So for me, a great place to start was to create a small community where I could just start to almost create this whisper campaign. Again, creating that curiosity of like, well, what's Lindsey up to? What's the secret Facebook group that she's talking about? So what I did was I created a Facebook group. I'm going to get on a soapbox. Hold on. Let me just step up onto this quick. If you create groups, do not secret ninja people into the group and add them without permission. That is probably the worst way to actually have this strategy work. Okay, stepping down off the soapbox. So what I did is now it took some time, but I individually messaged the women in my life and I acknowledged them. So I had kind of like a copy paste template, but then what I would do is with every message, I would say, well, hey, Sarah, I thought of you because, I wanted to share what I'm doing. I thought of you because. So I'd write just 1 or 2 sentences about why I thought of that woman and why she was someone who inspired me. And then I would send this message to say, hey, I'm starting this group in preparation for this book launch, and it's really part of this bigger conversation. Again, sharing my why. And I would include a link. If the person wanted to join, they could click the link and add themselves. Now, I want you to think about the psychology behind this and why this worked so well. Number 1, I was genuinely, again, here's this word genuine. I was genuinely acknowledging someone in my life for the role that they have played in everything that I'm doing. I gave them the choice to join or not join, but I also made it seem, again, I shared it like, hey, this is going to be this private community, like-minded women. It was almost this FOMO effect if they didn't join. Now think about the difference between that approach and if you're added to a Facebook group. I'm sure everyone listening has been added to a Facebook group without permission. And when you just notice like, oh, so-and-so added you to this group and you're seeing all these posts about their product or service and you're like, oh, like I didn't give permission. I didn't ask to be put in this conversation versus, hey, you're important to me. I would love it if you would be a part of this conversation. Here's the way to do that if you want to be. And if not, if now is a really busy time, I love you and thank you for inspiring me. How does each of those different scenarios make you feel? So I really want you to think intentionally about this. It's kind of the lazy approach to just funnel people into a community without asking their permission. And it's also defeating the purpose of building that community in the first place. I would rather have 10 women who are like, yeah, I can't wait to be a part of your Facebook group than 100 who are like, why am I here? How did I get in this Facebook group? Wow. Okay. I was not planning to go off on that rant, but I think it's really important because especially I came from a network marketing background. Let's just call it like it is. A lot of times we're being added to these groups and it's, for someone's network marketing business. And I want you to hear this with love. If you've done that, no shame. It's okay. We can always start fresh and kind of start with a new approach. But I know your heart and I know you're adding people to groups because you really do want to serve them. It's just not the best way. So hopefully you got something out of that. But so that was how we launched the book, was we created this community. And so then on launch day, again, I wish I was smart enough to really think of this as a tactic, but I didn't. I didn't actually ask the people in the group, hey, would you be willing to share a post about the book? That would have been really smart of me to do. And once you've built that trust, you've built that community, you can absolutely ask your community to show up and support you. Again, ask them specifically how you want to be supported rather than expecting that they'll know. But I really got to see the power of community when the book launched, because without me asking, I lost count at about 50 people in my life who had shared a link to the book, were genuinely excited about what I was doing. And honestly, that whole experience is what inspired the further mission of Powerhouse Women and helping other women create that kind of community so that they feel supported when they're doing their next big thing. So things like that, using a Facebook community, building it strategically, can absolutely be effective. Another example I want to give you, and this is, again, thinking about a way to leverage the power of your community, your girl gang, but being very clear about how they can support you and making it easy for them to do so. So I'm just going to give you this last example is, I remember when we were planning the first event, I had this vision of, I remember I started really small. I was like, maybe 50 people would come, and then started to think a little bigger, like, gosh, it would be really cool if 100 women came. And the thought of that number kind of intimidated me until one day I sat down and I made a list of 20 women in my life who I know would be willing to invite 5 of their friends. So rather than thinking about it as, again, something I need to do alone, like we talk about all the time, I started to think about how can I actually allow people to contribute to me and then make it easy for them to do so. So I had this list of 20 women and I came up with like a little email, again, making it very personal. You could even, like, if you have a list of maybe your little launch team is going to be 10 people, you could absolutely have a personal conversation with each one. But what I did was I came up with this email, and again, I acknowledged them and who they are in my life. And I said, here's my vision for this event. Would you be willing to invite 5 to 10 of your friends? Now, I asked for a specific number. I said 5 to 10 because then, at least they knew that my minimum request was to invite 5 people, but why stop there if they are super popular and have more friends? So I said, would you be willing to invite 5 to 10 of your friends? If so, here is an example post you can use. Here's example verbiage you can copy and paste. I made it so easy for them to say yes. Because oftentimes, I don't know about you, I love to show up and support my friends. And if it requires me to pause my train of thought for the day and come up with a post or, sit down and write an email, that's just going to be a little bit of a barrier to me taking action right away and possibly forgetting about it. Like, even if I have the best intentions of supporting people, honestly, life gets busy. I'm sure you are the same way. And sometimes things just slip through the cracks. So I knew that if I could give them an image to post and some verbiage to copy and paste to their friends, they would be so much more likely to share that for me. So again, leverage the power of that community. Make a list of people who you could count on to share it with their friends, and be clear. How do you want them to share it? Social media, email, what does that look like? And then give them the exact verbiage that you want them to use. Eliminate any barriers to them saying yes and jumping in and to support you. So, man, okay, I want to go so much deeper into this, but I'm going to be real. I don't have the time today. And so here's what I'm going to say. We did record a whole training on this in the Girl Gang membership. There's a few points that I included at the end, which were the biggest mistakes that I often see. The biggest mistakes I see when people are launching that are easily avoidable. And what I'm going to do, I don't want you to have to join the Girl Gang if you just aren't at the point where you want to invest in that or just don't want to. I'm going to do this common mistakes part as an encore to this podcast episode, and I'll do that in our Facebook community. So actually, it's funny. The exact one I just mentioned to you is the group that eventually evolved into what's just now called the Powerhouse Women community on Facebook. And as soon as this episode launches, I will that same week go live. So you're hearing this on a Tuesday. If you're listening to it on launch day, I will record a Facebook Live and do the common mistakes as an encore so that you don't miss out on that, because there's some good ones and I want to make sure that you have everything that you need to make your next launch a successful one. I just need you to hear my heart. I believe in you so much. I believe that the world needs what you have to offer, and that you absolutely have a message that people need to hear and they want to hear. So whatever we can do in this little family called Powerhouse Women to eliminate the roadblocks that are stopping you from sharing that is what we exist for. So as always, just remember, you're not meant to do this alone, and whatever we can do to help you take that next step toward your big idea, your big dream, we want to do that. So until next time, we will see you in the Facebook community, and thanks for tuning in today.